Thank you. My name is Bill McCarthy. I'm a member of the USGA staff, and I serve as the championship director for the Mid-Am. And welcome to all of you this evening. We have a very brief but powerful program for you this evening. So to kick it off, I'd like to take a moment and introduce a member of the USGA's Executive Committee, the chairman of the U.S. Mid-Amateur Championship Committee from Dallas, Texas, Mr. Malcolm Holland.
Thank you all. Looks like a full room tonight. Lots of players, caddies, families. As he said, my name is Malcolm Holland. I have the honor to serve on the executive committee at the USGA, and more proud than anything to serve as chairman of this committee for the 34th annual United States Mid-Amateur. I'd like to welcome all the players, guests, families, caddies. On behalf of President O'Toole, my fellow committeeman Tom Huff over here, and all the staff at the USGA, welcome. This is one of our 13 championships, and we are proud to have it here at Saucon Valley. Being here at Saucon, you can tell these people, they love their amateur championships. They have a long history of giving back to the game of golf, and for that we are very grateful. The previous chairman last year, Gary Stevenson, made a comment at the Bethlehem Country Club, which has stuck with me for a whole year. I think this might be the toughest tournament to win. Not only do you have to have your games in championship form, required of all the practice that you need to do, but you have jobs, and a lot of you are raising families. And so you put all that together and still be able to play golf at a championship level. You guys should all be congratulated. The leadership of Saucon, you can see it. The green coats, the committee people, you'll see them all week long. They've done an incredible job. And it's been led by their general chairman, Barry Treadwell, who's done a great job. So please welcome Barry to the podium.
I have a confession to make. I have a serious problem tonight. The USGA asked me to say a few words, and on the program it says I have 2 minutes. My wife of 50 years said, you can't say hello in 2 minutes. But welcome to the Saucon Valley Country Club. For those of you that don't know it, we have 3 18-hole championship golf courses and a 6-hole course for our juniors. It's a truly unique facility on 850 acres. People often ask us, how did this facility ever come to exist in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania? Just a brief little touch of history. The answer to that question is the Bethlehem Steel Corporation, whose headquarters were here and going back to the 1920s. Bethlehem in World War II built a ship a day from 18 shipyards around the world. They built the Golden Gate Bridge. They built the George Washington Bridge. They developed the wide flange beam that allowed high-rise buildings to be built. New York City never would have existed without what was founded right here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. But they also had a top executive who had a real love for golf, and his name was Eugene Grace, and it was his passion for golf that created this wonderful, wonderful facility. The story is told that when he graduated with a 5-year engineering degree from Lehigh University, he was offered one of 2 jobs, to play second base for the New York Yankees, and thankfully he chose to be the executive assistant to the then chairman of Bethlehem Steel. So the golfers the golf courses that you see today are the heritage left from Bethlehem Steel. My friend behind me, Andy Warner, 3 years ago asked me if I would chair this committee. And the exact words he said to me, it's match play, it's really a piece of cake. Ask anybody wearing a blue shirt tomorrow if they think it's a piece of cake. Despite having hosted 6 previous USGA amateur championships, USGA championships, we have never had the challenge and the privilege to support 264 top amateur golfers for 4 days of medal play golf. However, we are ready. I've been a member here for 33 years, and I've never seen our courses in better shape. All 3 of them, all 60 courses, all 60 holes. And that's because we have a director of golf named Jim Roney and his staff who have done just simply a tremendous job over the last 7 years. We also have approximately 600 people wearing blue shirts over the next 4 days, and my heart goes out to those people who have given their time and their effort, not just here today, but over the last 2.5 years to put this whole thing together. But look for a blue shirt. If you've got a problem, they're there to answer your questions, whatever it may be. But this is your championship. You guys all worked hard to get here. And all I can say now to you is go out, play hard, and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Well, this certainly is exciting. I mean, I go back to the very beginning of even talking about this event, excuse me, and to have it come to this point and get to this night and see this room so full of people, it's just it's a thrill for us here at Saucon. Barry did a lot of history. I'm just going to touch base on a couple other things. But first off, I want to thank Barry. I want to thank every single volunteer, every donor to this event, because it would not be as successful if we didn't have that. To give back to the game of golf is the #1 priority when we do something like this at Saucon Valley. This is our 7th USGA National Championship, and as Barry stated, the largest one we've ever had. It is a thrill to be able to use our Wayhill course for a national championship, but I think the players will enjoy the Old as well as the Wayhill. They're all special in their own ways, and those that haven't played either course yet, you're in for a treat, because as Barry said, our superintendent of grounds, Jim Roney, has done a phenomenal job. Our staff overall have put in countless hours. I could go through names that would bore you, but we hold them very valuable, and we thank them all. Whether it's our chef Eric Moyer, to Greg Wister in the facilities. I mean, again, we could go on, and they've worked tirelessly, hours, and of course our general manager Gene Latari. But it's fun, it's exciting, it's thrilling, and let's have fun this week. Yes, it's a big competition, but let's have some fun. It gives me great pleasure to welcome a gentleman here to talk to us a little bit tonight. Coach Holtz was kind enough to give his time to come and share some thoughts. He's a special man that's done a lot of special things for amateur athletics, period. Certainly primarily with football, but the amateur athletics he's been a strong supporter of in his many years. And I'm just going to give you a few highlights of some of the history of Coach Holtz. He was a member of the 2008 College Football Hall of Fame class. Over the course of 5 decades at 6 different schools, starting with the Tribe of William & Mary and finishing with the Gamecocks of South Carolina, he compiled 249 victories, the 8th most in Division I history.
Go Irish!
He's the only coach in college football history to lead 6 different teams to bowl games and 4 different teams to top 20 rankings in the year-end poll. Speaking of the Fighting Irish, in 1988, he led the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame to an undefeated national championship season. In that season, he fielded one of the greatest teams of all time. How about that line? I love that. They won 10 of the 12 games by double digits, defeated 6 teams ranked in the top 20. It is still the only team in history to beat the #1, #2, #3 ranked teams over the course of a single season. Very impressive, to say the least. Since retiring in 2004, Coach Holtz has been the college football analyst for ESPN. I'm sure all of us have enjoyed his antics. It's fun, and obviously full of knowledge, but it's just a blast to watch him. And is one of the most sought-after motivational speakers in the country. He's the author of 3 New York Times bestsellers, and if that's not enough, why he could come and speak to this audience, he is also the 2008 member champ at Augusta National. How about that? Please join me in welcoming Coach Holtz.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate that beautiful introduction. It's the type I could listen to all night. And like you, I thought I was going to have to, because I got 6 minutes in duration. Hey, congratulations on your accomplishment. 3,500 people started. We're down to 264, and which tells me tremendous things about the commitment and the talent you have. I also think it's great to see so many wives here. I want to say this sincerely: if you want some great advice, listen to your spouse. If nobody knows you any better, loves you anymore, wants to see you succeed anymore, be any more honest with you. My wife and I have been married together 106 years. 53 apiece, but together, 106. And I am just so blessed. On our 50th anniversary, I was playing golf. And I said, yeah, 50 years, my best friend. The guy said, your wife's not your best friend, your dog is. I said, you're wrong. He said, well, try this. Lock your dog and your wife in the trunk of the car, come back in 2 hours and see which one's happy to see you. So, think about it, maybe it's the case. Now, I have a busy schedule. I leave here after we finish tonight. I fly to Notre Dame. I finish filming the Faraday show. Tomorrow, Notre Dame will air on Tuesday. Then I speak to the Notre Dame pep rally. Then I go do ESPN. But I am so delighted to be here because golf is such a great game. And I can't say enough positive things about it. I wished I was a good golfer, yes. I did win the member at Augusta, but I'm a little bit older now, and my attitude is forward's good. You know, if it goes forward, that's good. And some people want to shoot their age. I want to shoot my weight. You know, you just have to have different goals. But I got to tell you, I lived in Orlando, belonged to Bay Hill many years ago. And I want to pause here and tell you, every story I tell you is absolutely true. And I played the men's group at Arnold, and I was paired with Arnold Palmer. He was our A player, Dow Fitzgerald was a B player, I was the D player. I was so nervous playing with Arnie and Dow, and I played so poorly. And we lost money, and we're in the locker room after, and I said, gee, Arnie, I'm sorry I never played that bad before. He said, oh, you played before, have you? So, I think it's important to understand 10% of you won't remember 10% of what is said 10 minutes after it's said it. I hope for the next 15 minutes I can share thoughts and ideas. I'm not going to talk any longer than that. But first of all, understand who Lou Holtz is not. I'm not a singer, I'm not a dancer, I'm not an entertainer, I'm not an intellect. I graduated from high school, I was in the lower third of my high school class. If it was not for people like me, there could have been no upper half of the class. I mean, I'm just a simple individual. And he said, well, you've written 3 New York Times bestsellers. You look at the other guy in the world that's written more books than he has read. So I say this just so you understand that there isn't anything complicated. But let's not complicate life. You all have these hopes and dreams and ambitions. How marvelous to be 264 out of 33,500. I always sort of had a note on my desk at Notre Dame that said, if what you did yesterday looks big to you, then you haven't done much today. And the reason the good Lord put eyes in front of our head rather than back so we can see where we're going, rather than where we've been. It's just such a marvelous sport. I congratulate you on what you've done. But as I say, don't complicate it. Do you realize there are only 5 colors in the rainbow? That's all, 5. Think what Michelangelo did with those 5 colors. There's only 7 musical notes. 7! Look what Beethoven did with those 7 musical notes. So I try to keep life simple. I try not to complicate it. There's a lot of things in this world I don't understand. I don't understand how black cow eats green grass, produces white milk, yellow cheese. I don't understand why they sell hot dogs in packages of 8 and hot dog buns in packages of 6. Makes no sense. I don't understand why a kamikaze pilot wore a helmet. It just makes no sense to me. So I just try to keep life as simple as I possibly can. And if I was playing in this tournament, which obviously I'm not qualified to do or good enough to, I admire and respect the talents you have. There's only a couple things I'd say was important to me. Number one is the attitude you have towards yourself. The attitude you have towards the game of football. What's your attitude going to be when you have adversity? Let me tell you what happened my first year at the University of South Carolina. My wife had her second major cancer surgery. They gave her 10% chance to live. I'm happy to report she's doing well now. I don't pray for her anymore. I pray to her. I mean, she's a saint. My son Skip went into a coma the week we played Georgia. He almost died. My mother died the Friday before we played Florida. I was on a school airplane for 3 days recruiting. We landed at Lady Island Airport. The pilot said, Coach, will you visit Darnell, Washington? We're going to fly 11 miles to Hilton Head to get gas. We'll come back and get you. During that 11-mile flight, the school plane crashed. One pilot was killed instantly, the other seriously injured, later died. We lost every football game we played that year. We went 0-11. And I had a kicker that said, I can't kick when you're watching. Explain you're going to be at the game. That's part of the contract. Now we're 0-11 that year, but records could be deceiving. We really weren't as good as our record would lead to believe. You talk about everybody bitching about he's too old, the game passed him by, he can't coach. What I learned is you can succeed when no one believes in you. You have no chance to succeed if you do not believe in yourself. I was at an airport after that first year. Guy come up to me and said, anybody tell you look like Lou Holtz? I said, happens all the time. He said, really makes you mad, doesn't it? The point is, you're on the ground. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to stay down. You're going to pick yourself up. It's your choice. And 12 months later, South Carolina had the second greatest turnaround in the history of NCAA football. We went from the longest losing streak to beat Ohio State in a bowl game. Following year, we finished 11th in the country, beat Ohio State again. The point I make, you're going to have adversity. You're going to get knocked down. There's going to be difficult things happen during the tournament. But it's the attitude you have towards yourself. Doesn't matter who else believes in you. But you absolutely have to believe in yourself. The other thing is have fun with what you do. How fortunate you are to be able to play the game with the sportsmanship and the beauty of this course. What a great feeling that is. It's like people say, do you have fun doing the ESPN? Not really. I'm up there in Bristol, Connecticut, which is 15 minutes from Hartford by telephone. And I got a headache, and I'm on there with a guy named Mark May. Now, Mark May's a beautiful guy. He's smart, he's intelligent. I love him like a brother, but we have a difference of opinion. He was a player, I was a coach. He made suggestions, I made decisions. He showered after work, I showered before work. He signed a paycheck on the back, I signed it on the front. You know, we just have a difference of opinion. As I said to him the other day on TV, Mark, I'd love to agree with you, but if I did, we'd both be wrong. You know, that's not good. And I want to tell you, we have no teleprompter, no script, no rehearsal. I may not want to be there. But when they turn the red lights on, I'm going to have more fun than anybody else, because if you have fun doing something, people have fun watching. Every day I walked out on the football field, first thing I said, boy, what a great day to live. And I meant that sincerely. Be excited about what you're doing. Be fortunate. Don't count all the negative things. Look at the blessings you have, the opportunity you have. And I'm not just talking about this tournament. I'm talking about life. Doesn't mean I don't do dumb things on TV. I got in there one time going to the University of Auburn. Next week I get on and apologize. Said, all of you wrote and told me it's Auburn University. I'm a quick learner. Many of you wrote, told me I won't make the mistake again. So don't write anymore. I only got the message. And then turned to Reese Davis on live TV. I said, Reese, I had no idea that many people from Auburn could write. You talk about some nasty letters. But enjoy what you're doing. And attitude's a choice. You know, God gave you the power to love, think, create, to imagine, to plan. The greatest power we have is the power to choose. Wherever you are in this world, good or bad, because of choices you make. And the choice you have about your attitude is absolutely critical. You know, what's your attitude when people say negative things? A few years ago, we took Notre Dame down to play Florida in the Sugar Bowl. We're a big underdog. I felt we'd win. Nobody else thought we would. If I felt we would, we eventually did. And I always wanted our team to be home with their family on Christmas Eve. So during those 2 days, I took my wife and my 4 children to Orlando. We went out to dinner. And I have 4 children. They're all girls but 2. I'm real proud of that fact. And I'm never happier than when I'm with my wife and family. I'm in a great mood. The waiter came up and he recognized me. He said, you're Lou Holtz, head coach of Notre Dame, aren't you? And I said, yes, sir. I took out my pen thinking he wanted an autograph. And he looked at me and said, Coach, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between Notre Dame and Cheerios? I said, I don't have a clue. He said, Cheerios belong in a bowl, Notre Dame doesn't. Made me mad. I'm in Florida, we're going to play them in the Sugar Bowl, and I'm in a bad mood. My wife said to me, You're going to let somebody you never met before, you never going to see again, he doesn't care a thing about you, and you're going to let him ruin this evening because something stupid he said. She said, you cannot let other people control your attitude. And she's absolutely right. We went on and had a wonderful meal, and I felt so good. A little bit later, I called the waiter back over, and I said, son, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between Lou Holtz and a golf pro? He said, I don't have a clue. I said, a golf pro gives tips, which he found out when the meal was over. But, you know, I could talk forever, but they told me I have to limit it to 15 minutes. But the attitude's so critical. And the other thing that's important is having a passion to succeed, a passion to be good. Not everybody can be All-American, not everybody can win this tournament. But everybody can be the best they can be and give it the maximum effort. And all I ask you to do when this tournament's over, have no regrets. You put your head on the pillow, you can fool me, you can fool your parents or your spouse, your caddy. You can't fool yourself. You and you alone know whether you did everything you possibly could. A few years ago, I think it was 2008, I was fortunate and blessed to be asked by Paul Azinger to speak to the Ryder Cup team in Louisville on Thursday night before the games. That was the last time I think the USA won, because I talked and Phil Mickelson and other people were in there. And I tell them the same thing I want to say to you before you go there. And it is simply this: to remember the word win. And win stands for what's important now. Evaluate the past, focus on the future, but tell you what you have to do in the present. You just made a birdie, what's important now? The tee shot. You just made a bogey, what's important now? The tee shot. You play it one shot at a time, you stay focused. I did the same thing with our football team, one play at a time. It's 1st and 10, what's important now? 2nd and 8, what's important now? But enjoy the competition, enjoy what you're doing, but stay in focus. People go say, well, there's a lot of pressure. Pressure's half a pressure. It's when you have to do something you are not prepared to do. If you have to make a 5-foot putt to win this tournament, and you haven't prepared to do it, you're going to be nervous. You're going to feel pressure. But if you've really prepared for it, you want to be there to show people how good you are, how you've prepared to be there. If you have to take an exam to get in med school and you've studied for it, you show up and they cancel the test, you feel bad. You want to show people how good you are. So all I say is enjoy this, have the proper attitude, believe in yourself as you go along, and good luck to you. There isn't any such thing as magic. Somebody asked me if I'd do this. If I fool around with magic a little bit, it's like any other newspaper. You have front page for people who want to read the news. You have the comics for people who can't read. Then we have the editorial page for people who can't think. Here's what I ask you to do. Have a faith and a belief in what you're doing, how you're doing it, enjoy it. Remember the good fundamentals of what distinguishes great players from average players. And above all, understand there's going to be adversity and there's going to be difficulty. And everybody in this room is going to get bad breaks. You're going to get a bad bounce. Maybe not at the same time as other people, but it happens. The question is how you're going to handle it compared to how well somebody else handles it. To have a faith and a belief and enjoy this. Many of you thought you saw me tear that to you really have a strong faith. Somebody just said, how do you do that? Perfectly, I thought. But in any event, that's not it. When I stood up here, I told you 10% of it wouldn't remember 10% of what I said 10 minutes after I said it. But for the last 15 and a half minutes, I promise you I would. If I had an hour, I'd still speak for an hour. But it's your fault. You've been a kind audience. But I leave with his very last thought. Want to be happy for an hour? Eat a steak. Want to be happy for a day? Play golf. Want to be happy for a week? Go on a cruise. Now to me, going on a cruise like being in jail, except you have a chance to drown, but that's what you do. Want to be happy for a month? buy a new car. Want to be happy for a year? Win the lottery. Want to be happy for a lifetime? Make good choices and do everything to the very best of your ability. The last thing I'll say to you, you're blessed to be here. But also I hope you will thank the members of the club. I know people aren't going to want me to say this, but I want to tell you something. This club's not reimbursed near enough for what it costs to put them on. The members give up the right to play here. It cost them $100,000 to put this on, but they do it because of the love of golf and to give you the opportunity. Let people know you appreciate it. Thank you very much.